Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we will discuss about hierarchy security model and we will see the different types of hierarchy security and how those types are useful in Dynamics 365. Before we are getting into the different types of hierarchy security model, we will see a quick introduction. Hierarchy security model extends the existing security model of Dynamics 365. It will not completely replace your existing model. Instead, it will work along with the existing security model of Dynamics 365. When I say existing security model, I mean the business unit hierarchy, teams, and security roles. Hierarchy security model will work along with your business units, teams, and your users and security roles. And here we have two major types. One is manager hierarchy, and the other one is position hierarchy. Manager hierarchy is very restrictive in nature. On the other hand, position hierarchy is little bit flexible. The organization which deals more on financial transaction will go with manager hierarchy, and if they are flexible in their hierarchy, they can go for position hierarchy model. In any environment, you will be able to select, or you can either go with manager or position hierarchy. You cannot have both the types of hierarchy in place. Anyone can be activated in the environment, Dynamics 365 application. So when I say manager hierarchy, it works along with the manager hierarchy within the user record. If you open any user record, you'll see a manager lookup field. Based on the manager field, this manager hierarchy will work. Here, the manager of the user should be within the same business unit, or the manager can be in the parent business unit of the user. On the other hand, as I said earlier, we have the position hierarchy, which is more flexible. Here, we don't have to keep any business unit hierarchy in place. You can have users from multiple business units. The users can be from multiple verticals. That will not be a problem in position hierarchy. In manager hierarchy, we need to use the user table to set up the manager and user hierarchy. But in position hierarchy, we have a separate table called position, where we will be creating multiple positions. And once the positions are ready, we can associate the users with that position. We can have a position like associate manager, we can have a position like vice president, and in that position, we can associate multiple users. And those users can be from multiple business units. And similarly, in the bottom of the hierarchy, we can have a salesperson position, and in that position also we can have multiple users from different business units. Now I hope you understood the basics of hierarchy security model. With this, we will quickly move to the application and we will see how to set up manager hierarchy and position hierarchy. Now I'm in Power Platform Admin Center. To enable a manager security role model or position hierarchy model, we need to select the environment and then we need to go to the settings area. And within settings page, we need to go to this hierarchy security. From this place, we will be able to enable either manager hierarchy model or position hierarchy model. As I said earlier, in any environment, you can either go for manager hierarchy or position hierarchy. So in the first part of our demo, we will enable manager hierarchy. And as I said earlier, manager hierarchy model depends on the user table. Within user table, you need to set the correct manager for each and every user. Then this manager hierarchy will work. Okay. So once we select this enable manager hierarchy model, we can click on this configure to set up the user hierarchy within user table. So if I click on this configure, it will take me to the users page. For this demo, we will use these three users, Eric, Dan, and Amy. For a manager hierarchy model, we will use Eric and Dan. We will consider Eric as a user and Dan as a manager for Eric. Before we set up this manager hierarchy, we need to understand the business unit hierarchy of this organization. This is how I have configured the business unit in this environment. At the top, we have India, and below that, we have North and South. And within North, we have two business units. And then within South also, we have two separate business units. As I said earlier, for particularly manager hierarchy model, the user and the manager should be within the same business unit hierarchy. For example, if we take the user from Tamil Nadu, the manager can be within Tamil Nadu BU, or he can be from South BU, or the manager can be from India BU. If I set a manager from North BU, then the system will not allow us to do. Now I will open Eric's record. So in our case, for particularly manager hierarchy, we are going to use these three users. And here you can see for Eric, I have set the manager as Dan and business unit as Tamil Nadu, which means Eric is sitting inside this Tamil Nadu business unit, and Dan, who is the manager, is in South BU. So manager is from this South BU, and I was able to save this user record. Now, for example, I will change the BU of Dan to North. Or instead of changing Dan's business unit to North, we already have one more user from North BU. I will try to set Amy as a manager for Eric. We will see if the system is allowing. So for Eric, I will set Amy. Amy is from North business unit. So North business unit is in a different vertical. Now we will see if the system is allowing to save this record. The moment I try to save this record, immediately system is showing a error saying that this user is not a member of the manager's business organization. So we will not be able to select any user from a different business vertical. So in this case, I will be able to select only Dan. I hope now you are clear with how we can set up the manager or user hierarchy using this user table. Now we will go to the application and see how the access level works. But before going to the application, we need to understand the current security roles and privileges of these two users, Eric and Dan. Currently, I have assigned both of these users with salesperson security role, and this is the security role that I have assigned to both of these users, Dan and Eric. And for this demo, we will use lead table. And currently, as part of this security role, both of them will have only user level privilege for lead table. Okay, without the manager hierarchy, both of these users will be having only user level privilege. Okay, now I will go to the application and I will open one of the lead record. And currently you can see I have logged in with system administrator. I will assign this lead record to the user Eric. Now if I check access for this record for Eric, Eric is getting the access levels for read, write, create, delete, everything using salesperson security rule. Now if I check for Dan will not have any access to this record because we have set Dan as a manager for Eric, but we have not yet enabled the manager hierarchy. Now we will quickly go to this hierarchy security page and I will save this particular page. The page is now saved. In this page, we have some other settings as well. We will come back to this page later and we will discuss about this. Now I will quickly go to the previous lead record and now we will go to check access and see whether Dan is having the access because now we have enabled the manager hierarchy for this environment. Now you can see Dan is getting read, write, append to share privileges of this record. And here it is telling that record is owned by a direct report. If Dan logs into this system, then Dan would be able to read this, access this particular lead record. But as per the security role, Dan was also having the salesperson security role. As per that security role, Dan will be able to read and access only his own records. But since we have enabled this manager hierarchy, Dan is able to access Eric's record as well. Now we will come back to this page. Here we have two settings. One is depth and the other one is enabling tables. Here, the depth means how many levels of manager hierarchy we need to give access. So currently, Dan is the manager and Eric is the user. So this is just one level of hierarchy. But here, as per this default setting, depth is having a value 3, which means we will have a 3 level of security, manager security enabled. For example, Dan also will be able to access Eric's record, and similarly, whoever above Dan will also be able to access Eric record, and someone who is above that person also will be able to access Eric's record. But if we want just one level of depth, we can update it to 1. So this is based on business requirement. We can set the depth. And then below we have this hierarchy table management. By default, whenever we enable this manager hierarchy model, all the tables are enabled for this hierarchy model. But if we want to have this uh, hierarchy model enabled only for a specific number of tables, then we can enable only for those tables from here. I hope now you understood the concept of manager hierarchy model. Now we will go to the position hierarchy. We need to enable this position hierarchy model from here. Once we enable position hierarchy, then manager hierarchy will be disabled. As I said earlier, manager hierarchy depends on the user table, but this position hierarchy depends on another table called position. To configure and to set up that position, we need to click on this configure hyperlink. It will take us to the position tables page. From here, we will create two separate positions. manager, then junior. Now we have two positions. When we discussed about manager, I told you that a manager hierarchy model is very restrictive. For example, when the user is in Tamil Nadu vertical, Tamil Nadu BU, they were not able to have a manager from a different business unit, right? Which is in a different vertical. But with the position hierarchy, we will be able to have the superiors from different verticals also. For this demo, we will consider all these three users. Again, Eric will be the user, and then Dan and Amy will be at the higher position. So what I will do is, even though Dan and Amy are sorry, even though if Dan and Amy are from completely different verticals of business unit, I will add them to a position called managers. Here I will add both Dan and Amy to manager position, and then I will go to junior position. Here I will add Eric. Now we have both the positions, but we have not set the hierarchy yet. For that, we need to open the junior, and from here, I will set the parent position as manager. Now from here, you can see junior position is reporting to manager position, which means whoever is added to junior position will be reporting to the users in this manager position. And now we have two users in manager position and one user in junior position. Now we will go to this lead record and see how this position hierarchy works. Before checking the access, I will save this page first. Only after saving, the hierarchy model will be enabled. Now the page is saved, so which means position hierarchy model is enabled for this environment. Now we will check the access. The record is already owned by Eric. So if I check for Eric, Eric is having all the privileges, and Eric is getting this privileges via direct assignment, which means he already got salesperson security role. As per salesperson security role, he will be able to access all the records that is assigned to his name. Now we will check the access for Dan. Dan is added to manager position. Now you can see Dan is having access to this record. Record is owned by a direct report. Now, actually, Dan is not getting this access because of manager hierarchy, but he is getting the action. He's getting the access with the help of position hierarchy. Okay. So in this case, Dan is part of same business vertical. In the same way, we will check if the new person, Amy, who is from a different vertical, is able to access. Now I will change the user to Amy. And here you can see Amy is also able to access the record. And here the summary is given as record is owned by a direct report. So now with the help of position hierarchy, we will be able to give the access to the records for the user who is part of a different business vertical also. Now, I hope you understood it very clearly how we can use the manager hierarchy and position hierarchy. So, one thing that we need to keep in mind is manager hierarchy is very much restrictive. Only if the user is part of the same business vertical, they can be the manager of that other user. But in position hierarchy, the complete model itself is very much flexible. You just need to create a position, and within each position we can add users from multiple business units across multiple verticals, and we just need to set up the position hierarchy, and that's it. I hope you understood the concept of hierarchy security model in Dynamics 365. Thank you for watching.